The 2007 comedy film Superbad, it is actually one of my favorite films from the 2000s. There's a lot of things that goes on in this film that makes it a cult classic. Directed by Greg Mottola, this film is about two teenage boys who wants to get laid before they graduate high school to their respective crushes. And along the way, they get into a lot of hijinks and craziness. Over the last 15 years this movie's been out, I have to say this is one of the greatest high school films of the 2000s, and it's very hilarious all throughout it. And it's the mere fact the chemistry between Jonah Hill and Micah Cera it actually works. And the supporting cast did good as well, especially because this was the film debut of Christopher Mintz-Plasse and Emma Stone. Now, I'll be honest, the plot to this film is not great. You're not going to find Oscar-worthy performances in this film, but I will say this movie's not boring. It's entertaining, and it's one of those comedy films from the 2000s you could pretty much have a good time with. What was impressive about the screenplay for this film is that Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen wrote it when they were 13 years old, and that is just cool to see considering how long it took them to actually get this film made. Nonetheless, though, if you've never seen this hit comedy film, I suggest you check it out because I believe it is well worth your time. Now, the characters in this film, they're great. Seth and Evan, they've been friends for years. And so when they have the opportunity to get alcohol for Jules' high school party, then, well, they get Fogel, aka McLovin, to get that fake ID. And from there, shit goes down south real fast. And it's not just those characters that are great, but you also bring Officer Slayer and Officer Michaels, two irresponsible cops. But the duo actually works simply because they get drive McLovin to the high school party. And then there are great moments all throughout this film. And this is still a film to enjoy even all these years later. Now, interesting enough, Jules and Becca, their characters ain't that great to be honest. I mean, they're alright, but we don't really know too much backstory on them. And one thing I wish that was different about this film is that we learn more about their characters. But overall, this is a nice coming of age story. It's not iconic like the films from the 1980s, those high school movies. But this is still an enjoyable film, in my opinion. And I will say that over the years, I have enjoyed this one quite well. I'm giving this film a 7 out of 10. I just think this is a decent movie, even though I consider it a cult classic. There are some issues that keeps it from being better. Honestly, this film should have been a little longer. And the mere fact we never got Superbad 2 because Seth Rogen said that he didn't want to mess it up with a sequel. Considering how successful the first movie was, both financially and critically. So it makes sense why Superbad 2 never happened. Nonetheless, though, at the end of the day, while I wouldn't consider this a masterpiece, this is still a funny movie. It's entertaining, like I mentioned before. And it's a comedy film that still holds up all these years later. And that's my review of the film Superbad. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this film. Alright, this is Slim Guy 172 saying peace out.